What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be continuing to show you how to make the Bendy and the Ink Machine Chapter 1 custom exterior. This is part 4, and in this one, we're going to be finishing off the exterior. We're going to be doing the parking lot along with the two pathways here, and I guess the road that is directly below me. And I'll be talking about filling the area around it a little bit, but I won't go insanely into it. So, yeah, that is also, that being said, enjoy the tutorial, and I will catch you on the flip side. Let's get this bad boy finished, shall we? I love these short ones so much. To start off with the parking lot, you want to get out the following. Jungle planks, mud bricks, blackstone, block of stripped bamboo, jungle slabs, mud brick walls, oak fence gates, ochre frog lights, and flower pots. We're one short to be able to do the lights, of course, but we'll deal with that when we get there. So from the main entrance of the build here, you want to be just to the left of it off these composters here, this bottom one specifically. And you're going to extend forward from it with 32 jungle planks from this bottom one. Like so. Give you a second. You'll extend left with 3 blackstone, 4 block of strip bamboo that face sideways the way we're going anyway. Then you'll go jungle plank, mud brick, 7 jungle planks, 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 mud brick, and a single jungle plank. I want to make sure that we have the right amount. 3, 4, 5. You should have 6 mud bricks in total, just kind of chilling there. And that's correct. From the furthest left one, you'll head back towards the build with 36 jungle planks. And you'll end up in line with this spruce plank here if you check that. You'll then go towards the build with a mud brick, 7 jungle planks, mud brick, 7 jungle planks, mud brick, and then I think it's 6 jungle planks. Yes. I'll extend each mud brick up by 1 along with each jungle plank up with a jungle slab. The blackstone and bamboo you'll leave alone because they don't have anything interesting going on. I'll bring up all the mud bricks first. Hopefully everyone is having a good day or night. I am for the most part. So yeah. You can extend this obviously if you want. This is kind of like a base design for the parking lot. I would recommend just starting with the side, and then if you're like, yeah, it can be larger, you can extend it more to the left and then also bring it back more rows, since you would have space on the side, obviously. I would maybe like, well, once the lines are lined up, we'll see, but I think each mud brick would be a dividing point for a parking lot, so you could literally just take it back from there, but it's up to you. Each mud brick that is, well, I guess you will extend inward with 5 blocks of strip bamboo facing like towards the center. The bottom ones specifically, not the top ones. Should probably specify that. And this will kind of start to give you some parking spaces. They're a little bit too big, but they're getting there. On the left side, you want to take the... It would be that, like, second mud brick in, not the one furthest against that side, this one. And you'll extend each strip bamboo row in from there with 7 blackstone, 5 blocks of strip bamboo, and then in the direct center, you'll have a mud brick. You'll extend that mud brick right with 7 jungle planks. A mud brick, 7 jungle planks, mud brick, 7 jungle planks, mud brick, 7 jungle planks, mud brick. And that should give you 5 mud bricks in that little center row. And same thing as before, each mud brick is brought up by 1, and each jungle plank is brought up with a jungle slab. Each of those mud bricks you'll bring out also in each direction with 5 blocks of strip bamboo. Except for, again, the bottom one specifically, and again, except for left or right. Because that'll just block off your area. And you won't even be able to get a parking space out of it since it's too thin anyway. And I believe you should have this. Between each strip bamboo row on really all of them, you should end up having like a gap of 7, as probably mentioned. You can just take the center of it and bring 5 strip bamboo out of that, which will give you these 3x5 parking spaces. If you've made like any city tutorial or even the new Playco, this should be familiar, or any of the refresh city tutorials specifically, since those ones actually have parking lots. Older ones don't. Actually, newer ones don't either, but it's just refresh. It's a refresh specific thing. I gotta do this side as well. Would love to be able to place these properly. Nice. Along the back wall, you have very few parking spaces. You can just continue to leave those gaps of 3 and then place more lines every 4th block. And you should line up with the end of the wall in ideal circumstances. There we go. Yep, against those composters. The entire middle of this space you'll end up filling in with, the remainder of it you'll fill in with blackstone. I would recommend not slash filling this. I'm going to though because I'm confident enough that I won't screw it up. But it is very easy to just make a little mistake, especially when you have to do keep. Like, you'll just kind of half the time forget it. But I've done that enough times to where I really don't anymore. So I just, every time I think of doing that, I remember Security Breach Atrium. I did that on, I just removed the entire Jumbotron on accident, so that was a fun time. But yeah, from this point, temporarily you can get rid of your jungle planks and get out oak signs. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do the same thing like a bunch of times. Also, this is a good point to decide whether or not you want to extend this. Really, I wouldn't go longer for these center segments than that. I guess you could technically, actually. Really, I don't think large parking lots have that many breaks between the like lines, but you can kind of just keep this philosophy where you have these center strips going back as far as you want, and again over, and maybe every like 15 spaces have a break. This 7 block breaks here, just to, you know, make sure you can actually drive through it. Anyway, you want to take, so first off, actually, if you're on PC Bedrock, or PC in general, Minecraft, I would place down the oak sign and just like wherever and get rid of it. And then you can press control. Whoopsies. What? Did I press E? I might have pressed E. I didn't think I did, but it opened the inventory. You want to press control, lockpick, and it should give you the sign. I didn't do it right. It should give you the sign, which has this little purple text that says plus data, kind of italicized. That'll just help us placing this, but you'll take each mud brick block here and you'll do the following. You will extend it up with 6 mud brick walls. Then you'll place a flower pot on top. The top mud brick wall you'll bring both forward and backward with 2 oak fence gates. You will have to crouch to place these. And then an ochre froglet on the ends of those. Again, if you crouch and place around this top row, which is on the sides of the froglights, fence gates, and mud brick walls, you'll just place oak signs going around. And this will give you this kind of goofy looking light design, which I think works pretty nicely. And to do that on all of these mud bricks, so again, these 6 walls up, flower pot on top of the top one, 2 fence gates forward and backward from that mud brick wall, and then the ochre frog lights on the end with these signs wrapping around the whole thing. And yeah. So I will be doing this. I'll do it step by step, actually, why not? I'll go around and do all the, like, step by step, but also row by row. So yeah, after this, it's just, we're gonna do the road, and then we're gonna connect into the road with the words. I'll get there. Give me like 2 seconds. Why did I forget the flower pot here? We'll connect the road into the little loading dock thing on the right side, the garage door. And then from that, I'll kind of just explain some general terrain stuff. We can fill in the floor, and we'll be on our way. Still a decent length part, but I don't think it'll be more than 30 minutes. Well, I mean, it could be. We're already, we'll say like 12, 13 in with the intro. But even then, like, not a not a crazy amount we're having to do here. Maybe some time-consuming steps like this one. This is probably the longest thing in the... I would almost argue in the entire build, but I don't think about... I don't know about that. Like, the longest, just here, do this step. But no. You can technically structure block these and do it that way, but... I don't like that idea particularly. Because it adds an extra step. Of like trying to figure out how I did it originally, but I'm not gonna do it here for, you know, tutorials. I try to avoid that if I feel like it's not entirely conventional in the best way, but because either way you'll probably have to redo some of the signs or whatnot, and just getting the placement right is annoying. But you know, it's definitely, I'm not gonna say it's like hard, it's just kind of annoying. Although it definitely would save you time. I guess not at this point. At this point, like, we got, what, 3 left? 4 left after this? 3 left. So, really no particular point. It is annoying to hold down shift the entire time, though. It's definitely not on my list of awesome stuff. I would say this build is lit up pretty well. You can also add these on the sides of the street. I would actually... If you're gonna do them on the street, I would take off one light side and just have one side that hangs over the road. And then obviously only have it on, you know, maybe like the left of the road rather than on both sides. Because if you have it on both sides, they'll end up almost connecting. I think they'll be a block apart. Alright? Yeah, they'd be a block apart. Well, actually they wouldn't. You wouldn't even be able to fit them because of the signs. You'd only be able to put the sign on one and then the other would just be signless. So, no signs. Flower pot, flower pot, flower pot. Okay. But yeah, I love the fence gates with the walls, because you can do a lot with the way they connect. You can make like cool railings and just details and stuff. I had to make sure that was real. And this is one of those instances where you can kind of get a nice curve off of it. Or just like angle, I guess, in general. There's a lot of things like blocks that interact with each other in specific ways in this game that are intended for one thing, but especially when you're building, like, there's so many ways you can use them to make some cool designs. So honestly, like, just start playing around, especially if you know, like, how certain blocks work together. That's always helpful. And just kind of play around and see how you like it. Anyway, you should end up with this. And I think it does look better, obviously, when you don't have night vision on like I do, but I have night vision on, so... I'm gonna get rid of the oak sign again and get out jungle planks just back. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take the front row of this parking lot. And I'm not gonna go any further left because I don't really feel the need to. But I will go further right. And I'm gonna take this end jungle plank and I'm gonna just extend it right. And I'm just gonna keep going right until I'm a little bit over the right side of the build. So you see here, this is the end of the loading dock area there. And I'll just go like another 10, 20 blocks or something. The pattern for this is 3 rows of blackstone off the jungle planks, a row of block of strip bamboo facing left to right, 3 rows of blackstone, and then another full row of jungle planks. I'd recommend placing the jungle planks on both sides, the bamboo in the middle, and then if you can fill the blackstone, it would definitely be easier. It might end up being, it's like a good chance if you're not on PC and don't have a good PC, that it'll just get mad at you and tell you that you're trying to fill too far. It'll be like, you cannot place blocks outside a world. It's actually lying, they're in the world, but basically, if your simulation distance is not a certain... Why am I doing it this way? If your simulation distance is not above a certain amount, it'll just scream at you, so... Yeah, because it basically thinks if you're outside this... If the block you're trying to fill is outside the simulation distance, that it actually doesn't exist. So you could technically get around that by placing a loading zone there, but that's like a whole extra step for a /fill command. So, you know, I mean, under certain circumstances it might be nice. You could also just get another person in your world and be like, hey, go stand on that corner, and it would allow you to fill somewhat further, not necessarily all the way, but yeah. The additional thing, I guess, as you're doing that is you can place jungle slabs on top of those planks, but we always do that in, like, we've been doing that in the back rooms whenever somebody, because of how big some of those areas are that we're trying to fill, just have somebody stand near it, and, you know, I've gotten pretty good at, especially with my worlds, being able to be like, this is about how far I can go before it'll be mad at me. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but... Because essentially, you can fill a lot further with that. Like, let's say you have to fill this area. Like, instead of having to stand directly on that corner, you could maybe go, like, a little bit over so your radius would still hit that corner and also go further in. And then, you know, people on both sides can do that and makes it easier. Anyway, that's enough social rambling. You should have this. Where you have the gap for the parking lot entrance here on this particular part. The 7 blocks here, you actually want to replace these strip bamboo in the, like, center of the road with blackstone as well. This so you have an actual turn lane so you can turn, you know, you wouldn't actually go that way, you'd go this way. But you can turn both ways and it's actually open. Since I just did a solid line here, you know, you'd have openings where you would want to, or you'd have spots to turn like that. You can clear your inventory, and I'm gonna get out just Podzol for a moment, and... yeah, I'll just do that. And we're going to start with the little area here on the right side. So if I take the oak planks here, I'm going to take the... is it the front oak plank or the stripped oak in front of it? Should just be the oak plank, yeah. I'm going to extend right with 4 Podzol. 4 diagonally right, then right. 4 diagonally right. Forward. 4 diagonally right, and then I'll just connect all the way forward from there. I will also break the jungle slab and plank in the way of this and replace the plank at the bottom of the Podzol. I'll then take the back oak plank and I will extend right with 5 Podzol. 4 diagonally right. Right 2. 4 diagonally right. Right. 4 diagonally right 2. Forward. 4 diagonally right. Forward 2. 4 diagonally right, and then I'll just connect forward from there and do the same thing with the jungle, replacing with the Podzol. I don't have the bamboo removed here for the line in, but I'm going to break the jungle stuff in the middle of this. Obviously, I'll just fill in between the Podzol lines with more Podzol. And yeah, you can... I'll give you some options. Well, actually, no, I'll wait a second. But I would recommend keeping this Podzol regardless, because I like this one being a little bit more of a dirt path rather than like a set path. I don't know, I just feel like Joey Drew Studios would not have a perfect pathway to their entrances. Should have that. I think that's a pretty solid curve. Where the front door is, you want to take the... It should be the middle 3 rows where you have the oak stairs. The planks below the oak stairs will just extend out with Podzol until you run into the jungle. We're not replacing the jungle here, because this is a sidewalk, not a driveway. That would be the word, driveway. So yeah. I'm going to texture this pathway with just some buttons. I'll go oak, spruce, and dark oak, I guess. And, you know, just there are a couple around. just so it looks a little bit more interesting. You don't have to necessarily do this. I just kind of like the way that it looks, but yeah, I would not go overkill with it either. Nice. For the surrounding terrain, I use dirt paths. Now, you could use dirt. Farmland would be an interesting option. Although, I don't know. I think rooted dirt might be the most, like, viable option because it is still within that color realm, you know, like, it's not that different. And you should be able to place plants on it. I know Azalea is a terrible example, but that would really only, if you're trying to keep with the colors, give you, like, dead bushes and maybe brown mushrooms, but I don't know if they particularly like that. So yeah, the plant options are minimal. I guess you could maybe use, like, withered roses. Oh yeah, you got the short and tall, dry grass. There we go. Wheat would technically be an option if you used farmland. Yeah, I think that's viable enough. Maybe the one tall bamboo. Let me just see. It's got a little green, but yeah. I think that'd be a nice option. But yeah, you definitely can. I just used dirt paths, though, and kind of removed all that potential. Now, if you're like me and are like, what if I don't want to fill all this manually? Slash fill, again, will be your friend. As much as you can fill it. And again, as you do this, you want to make sure you're, you know, in this line. I wouldn't use a dirt path here, because you'll notice I'm a block down here. If I place this dirt path, you'll see my Y coordinate changes as I go on and off of it. Same thing happens with mud, is that it'll end up pushing you a block lower, and you'll fill lower than you want. But you could technically place a dirt path at the height and do it that way. You see I'm at 0.94 there. Yeah, it's up to you. And you can end up, if you fill, you know, like to here, maybe you'll do slash fill, whatever. Is it dirt path? No, it's just grass path, and you'll end up wanting to do keep, just to make sure that you don't accidentally break anything, especially your, like, base rows. But yeah, as I always say with the stuff with the greenery like this, have fun with your options here. You can obviously just, like, not do anything, but you know, you can try to add some trees and stuff and just play with the blocks as you can. Also, be careful when slash filling this, especially if you're going or trying to, like, go around the build, and you'll end up knowing you're gonna clip inside like that. Because we'll see if I look from the underside here. I avoided doing this entirely on the original, but, like, you may have some sections like here where you would end up just clipping straight through the build. So just keep that in mind. It might be smart to work around it rather than filling it fully like that, and, like, you can just fill around it in segments still. But you know, because the floor level isn't particularly flat and bendy, it does create issues. But I'm not gonna fill all this because I don't need this. This is just a random copy of a world anyway. And yeah, so again, you can add trees, whatever. You can add more buildings around it that have, like, the same kind of aesthetic. I do think it'd be cool to make two versions of this. One version that is, you know, bendied, and then another version that's just, like, normal colors and stuff, and kind of just interpreting what I used and trying to keep the textures as close as you can, while also, you know, making some more interesting color choices. I do think that'd be cool, and you could have some sort of transition for it. I might end up trying to tackle that as a concept, but that's kind of a big goal with all the other projects I have, Backrooms being one of them. But yeah, keep building around, go as far out as you want. You can add a forest like I did with Playco, but again, with the whole yellow scale, I guess, that is a bit odd to deal with. But anyway, once you're done that, ladies and gentlemen, that is your custom bendy exterior entirely complete. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully this was a nice little surprise to end off the Chapter 1 tutorial for Bendy, since I think that should have just finished not that long ago, based on just, like, the planning of me wanting to do this. You know, that is the idea. But anyway, with that being said, have a fantastic rest of your day or night, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.